Sports and Tri-State Megabucks present Stars and Strikes Doubles. Stars and Strikes Doubles is sponsored in part by Somerville Lumber. Stars and Strikes Doubles is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Londonderry Bowling Center as we prepare for semifinal week part 2 now here on Stars and Strikes Doubles in the 1993 Tournament of Champions. And we've got a team on a roll and a team ready to try and beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. Chuck and Peter have been just superb the last 3 weeks. Got out to that big lead right off the start. They go from the coals into the fire today, though. Another tough team.
Really, in 3 weeks, they've barely been behind all that time.
That's right. They just get off to that quick start, and they're able to ride that lead right to the finish. We'll see if the same thing happens today. All
right, let's meet our two teams. First of all, our number 5 seeded pairing, going for their 4th win in a row. From Manchester, New Hampshire, Chuck Godzyk. His partner from Bradford, Massachusetts, Peter Flynn.
Okay, Chuck comes in averaging 121, has a high single of 199, and Peter's at 134, high single of a whopping 211.
And, of course, in their 3 weeks here on Stars and Strikes Doubles in the Tournament of Champions, they had a 400 for their first win, and then back-to-back 365s. They had a very narrow 9-pin win last week to get to the semifinals. So they will now meet our number 2 seeded team here in the semifinals on Stars and Strikes Doubles. From East Kingston, New Hampshire, Brian Fuller, and his partner from Claremont, New Hampshire, Steve Vadney.
Okay, Brian comes in averaging 122, has a high single of 190. Steve's a 125 and 197 for high single.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we return, we'll have the first of 3 games here to settle this semifinal match. The winners, of course, move into next week's championship round. Lots of big money on the line. We'll tell you about that a little bit later on. We'll be back to begin the match right after these words. Don't go away. We're down to just 3 teams now as we move into the semifinals. Chuck Godzyk and Peter Flynn have won 3 matches in a row. Kind of ironic that their last 2 scores, Dan, the last 2 weeks have been 365, the same score that they had to qualify here for the Tournament of Champions. So they take on Brian Fuller and Steve Vadney today in the semifinals, our number 2 seeded team. The winners will move on to face Gary Carrington and Joe Ashline, our number 1 seeds. As you can tell, Peter Flynn will start this match. Their fine crowd on hand.
Who's starting? 3-6-4-7 for Peter.
First of all, I should mention right away, because probably people have been talking about it for 2 or 3 weeks now.
Yeah, and leave me out of it. I know what you're going to say.
I made a comment a couple of weeks ago that Peter Flynn was the only left-hander in the Tournament of Champions. And I said that while I was looking at the field for the singles Tournament of Champions. And I neglected to...
And what do? I walk right off the cliff with you and say, yeah, I was going to say he's the best left-hander in the field. And we have another left-hander today.
Right. Brian Fuller, of course, is also a left-hander.
And he's no slouch either.
That's true.
Everything but the 7-pin for Peter.
He can get to it, but he uses the wood anyway.
Little margin of error there if he went a little bit to the right as he did. He still covered the 7-pin, and we're going to have a noisy crowd today.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Brian Fuller, set to go. 2, 7, and 10. No. $8 for Brian, matching the 8 left up there by Peter Flynn. This time a better leave.
It's just the 3 and the 6 left, just catching the head pin, dropping 8.
Yes. No, 8 spare, matching on both sides. And now to Chuck Godzyk.
Half the crowd trying to make more noise than the other half.
And all of them trying to make more noise than us. And doing a pretty good job. And we have the microphones.
Chuck drops 8 on the spare left by Peter Flynn. 1-3 left.
Ooh, no. The runner-up team in this match will share third-place prize money of $400. The winners will move on to move into the finals next week. And in the finals, it's $600 to the runners-up, $1,500 to the winning team. 9 drop for Chuck.
Just the 5-pin left. Piece of wood out front to the right. Shouldn't become a factor.
Right there. Spare in the 4th. Now, 1/2 of the defending champion team in the Stars and Strikes Doubles Tournament of Champions, Steve Vadney. Won this event last year with Joe Ashline, who, of course, is going to be part of the #1 seeded team this year, next week.
1, 2, and 10 left for Steve Vadney. Oh, he's going to get it.
Yes!
Just enough.
Did you notice all the emotion that Steve showed on that shot? His expression very rarely changes. And when it went over, he just, okay, I'll push the button and move on. Very even-tempered. And all the times he's been here, I don't know if I've ever seen him show any real wild emotion. 7 fill on the spare.
And the 3, 7, 10 piece of wood in front of the 10, also behind the 3, which should help him with the 7 if he can get the 3. Oh, wow. Can't believe that. Thought with the angle of the wood, that 7-pin was destined to go, but not so.
It's a 10. Let's see about it.
Oh, wow.
Peter Flynn working on a spare now. A little full on the pocket, but it's an 8 drop and a spare leave. Gives his team the lead by 2. And another spare. Peter, who always throws the ball hard anyway, seemed to put a little bit extra on that delivery.
He's got that big sweeping arm swing. Generates a lot of power, a lot of speed on the ball.
No. And it'll be a 9 for Peter. As Brian Fuller steps back up. Brian undefeated here on the wins. He and Steve Vadney had to win 3 matches in order to win their series back on March 21st. They won the championship match over Peter Pereira and Kevin Davis. They threw a 390. So those 3 wins for Brian Fuller. And then prior to that, his only other time here was back in January of 1988 when he won 2 matches to win a series, beat Ed Emerson, and then the following week beat Bill Logan. And that was before we began our Tournament of Champions format. So Brian has never lost a match here. And a big strike.
Time he picks on the 1-3 pocket and gets a nice break off the wall for the 5-pin. Watch, 9 of them go in a hurry, and there's the help coming for the 5.
Chuck Godzyk pulls it left. And still with some work to do. And a nice 10 for Chuck Godzyk. Worth another look. Back on the head pin this time, and it'll be a spare leave on the 2-5.
Just trying to concentrate on that object pin, the 2-pin. Gotta hurry.
Nope.
I don't think anything aggravates a bowler any more than having a 2-pinner like that and going by the object pin. One thing to punch out the 2-pin, but to miss it altogether. Steve Vadney working on a strike in the 6th, trailing by 11, 9, 16, 22. Hike. It is 9.
And a chance for a spare on the strike. 2-4-5-7. Wood.
And with a spare would take the lead.
No.
But it's going to be mighty close. In fact,
it's dead even right now.
Right.
Steve Vadney, the all-time Stars and Strikes leader in wins with 31, in losses with 15, and it would follow in total appearances. This is the 47th time that Steve Vadney has been on with us. The oddity about that, as we mentioned, this is only the 2nd time he's been in the Tournament of Champions, and both times in doubles competition, never in singles.
Keeps practicing, keeps at it. He'll get it's a 1-pin advantage now for a team of Godzyk and Flynn. Peter Flynn will bowl the last 2 frames of game number 1.
Right through the middle. Nope.
That's 3 feet.
And it'll be a 7 for Peter. Well, unless Peter really throws something together here in the last box, this will by far be their lowest opening game score.
Trips out the 4-pin, 3-6 left for Peter.
Previous 3 weeks, they've gone 145, 133, 139 in the first game. And this time, they won't even be at 120.
10, Peter, get the 10.
And team of Steve Vadney and Brian Fuller can take the lead without the benefit of a mark if they were to pin. 99 through 8, 116 final score for the first game for Godzyk and Flynn. 1, 2, and 9 for Brian.
Oh, yes. Fine shot for Brian Fuller. Mark number 4 for the team. And Brian knew it. Put 2 fingers up as soon as he let the ball go. Spun around in disgust. It's dead even right now. 116.
Wow.
It'll be 117. Oh, kind of an unusual finish there by both teams. For the first time in 4 weeks after the end of a game, Godzyk and Flynn are trailing in a match. They trail by 1. 2 games to go. We'll be back on Stars and Strikes Doubles. Steve Vadney will start game 2. Steve Vadney and Brian Fuller, the red team. Chuck Godzyk and Peter Flynn, as they have been since the beginning of this series, the blue team.
Four horsemen right, plus the 9-pin in the back for Steve Vadney.
Oh, yes. Not an easy shot. He made it look easy, though.
A little tough time with the 10-pin right there. It's coming off the wall, but spare is posted on the board.
A little full, but he gets the 8 drop.
There's somebody in the crowd, be nice. Well, it's not so nice right now. That's about the most difficult position you could be in. You have to go to the right of the red line. You go too far, it's going to spin the pin away. No, he was right on the red line. There's just no way he could turn it enough to take in the 4 and 7.
Behind Steve, you see the big Tri-State Megabucks banner, of course, the presenting sponsor for the 1993 Tournament of Champions. This is our second doubles tournament. Just imagine being rich. Tri-State Megabucks.
Go, Charlie, there you go.
Chuck Godzyk on the 1, 3, and 7.
Okay, Charlie. Charlie, time.
Chuck Godzyk from Manchester, New Hampshire. Chuck and his wife Karen have 3 children, Mark, Chris, and Beth. Chuck works for Yankee Book as an inventory control technician, does a lot of his bowling at the King Lanes in Manchester, and he's got a handful here, the 5, 7, and 10. With wood? Not quite. And a 9. So, Brian Fuller and Steve Vadney extend the lead to 8 in the match.
Oh, big break there. Missing the head pin, and the head pin and the 2-pin were the last to go down. Leaves him just a 7-pin for a spare. And he's got some help out front.
Plenty of help for the spare. Mark number 6 for the team of Fuller and Vadney. If you use each box of the match, 30 boxes, if you use each one as a checkpoint, in terms of which team is ahead and which is behind, oh my! The strike on spare for Brian Fuller.
That was interesting.
And the
right
double
there.
high five.
Watch the 9-pin drop here. The wood wasn't going to hit the 5-pin. The other second piece of wood catches it, rolls it around, gives enough momentum to take the 5 for the strike.
Peter Flynn on the head pin, but leaving the 7-10.
Goes, Peter, goes.
So as I started to say, if you use each of the 30 boxes as a separate checkpoint, in the first 90 boxes they had rolled here in the tournament, in the first 3 matches, Godzyk and Flynn trailed in the match after only 4 boxes.
Wow.
And that was all in one match 2 weeks ago against Jack Sanick and Brian McKinley, when they trailed by as many as 3 in the first game. But by the end of the first game, they had a 13-pin lead, and they went on from there. But now they find themselves trailing again.
This time by 18, but they're opposite a strike. Peter was able to get a 10-pin out of there, leaves himself to 2-4-7. Piece of wood. He's got to come fairly high on it. If he hits it to the right of the red line, I don't think he'll carry the 7. He's got to be fairly high in it. That looks good, but maybe too high. Saw that the dejected look on Peter. Thought he might have carried that for a spare, as did I.
Instead, it's a 9. We will take a break. When we come back, it'll be Steve Vadney working on that strike left by his partner, Brian Fuller. They have the lead in the match, just at about the halfway point. Semifinals on Stars and Strikes doubles. The 1993 Tournament of Champions continues in a minute. Steve Vadney with a strike working. Steps up.
And this will increase their lead. It's 19 right now.
Oh, look out.
Oh,
very close.
Very close to that double strike.
He knew it had a chance on the way down.
Just to make it 3 in a row and 4 out of 5 boxes marks. No. Ooh. Actually dropped that one behind the foul line.
So it's a 10 instead. Steve Vadney and his wife Annette from Claremont, New Hampshire. Daughter Jennifer, son Stevie. Stevie's here today. Steve works for Sturm Ruger Company. Does a lot of his bowling at the Sunset Lanes in Newport.
Good, Steve, good.
And not quite. $10. So 2 10s and an opening for Chuck Godzyk.
Lead now balloons to 28. So Chuck would really like to put a couple marks up.
Go, Charlie, go.
Four horsemen right, plus the 7 and the 9, plus a piece of wood, and not quite. Missed the headpin.
Grab the outliner.
Well, Chuck Godzyk and Peter Flynn, Dan, have now gone 10 boxes without a mark. The first 5 in this game and the last 5 of the first game. And Chuck is off the headpin.
Go ahead, Charlie, go ahead.
So unable to pick up any ground in spite of the opening.
And actually, they're going to lose a little ground.
3 pins, to be exact. So the deficit now 31 for Godzyk and Flynn. Boy, Brian really turned that ball over.
Well, it broke sharp at the end. This gets to what? 3? No. Oh. Easier for me to count the ones that are standing on that one.
$9. Brian Fuller, East Kingston, New Hampshire. His wife, Kathy. Son, Brian Jr. Brian works as a foreman for Cato. Does a lot of his bowling at the Lafayette Lanes. And no on the spare attempt. Looking to extend his unbeaten record here on Stars and Strikes. That's a 9 box. And right now his team is 31 pins to the good. But again, there is an opening here for the Flynn Godzyk team. Peter Flynn tries to take advantage. That was kind of a backup ball there for Peter.
He does throw it that way a little bit, but that, he seemed to even turn that one over even a little more than he normally does. The 5 and the 8 left for Peter. Really looking for a mark.
Got it.
That'll break the drought.
The 4th mark for the team. Godzyk and Flynn, or rather Fuller and Vadney have 7. Oh, Big Phil. 9 drop.
And a testy piece of wood out in front. Looks like you're going to have I don't think he can get by it. I have a different angle, but I don't think he can. He's going to have to come up right-hand tip of that wood. No, he's going right after it. But...
No. Now he's got another piece in front. He can get by this one, though. And there's the 10. So the lead drops to 20. Steve Vadney now for the final 2 in game 2. Nope. Missed the head pin twice. Very rare for Steve Vadney. 3 times for an 8 box. A reminder, next Sunday at 12 noon here on the Winds. Our last shows of the season, the championship matches. The Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions at noon. The Doubles Tournament of Champions title match at 1. Oh, ooh. Missing the single. Between the 2 hours next week, more than $4,000 of prize money on the line. A 10, a 121 for the team of Fuller and Vadney. 238 is their 2-game total.
See from that picture there with the scoreboard that they failed to mark the last 6 boxes though in that game.
Come on, Ian, come on! Go, Johnny, go! Show me what to do now.
The 3, 6, and 7 for Chuck Godzyk.
Too far left.
And the 8.
Even here, Johnny, even here, fighter.
92 through 9.
What do you say up there?
Well, a mark would cut the lead under 20. Well, there's a mark. That's the first strike for the team.
Just ask. That's all you have to do, I guess, Doug. Good mixing action there off the right to left break.
Well, the Big Phil here, that tightens things up considerably heading into the 3rd game.
Come on, come on!
110. 112 with the spare on strike. And that cuts the lead to 10. 238 for Fuller and Vadney. 228 for Godzyk and Flynn. The winners will move into the championship match next week. We'll settle it after these words. Well, this is a rare occurrence indeed. As we start game 3, the team of Peter Flynn and Chuck Godzyk trail in the match by 10. In all 3 of their victories, they've had the lead and nursed it through the third game. Here they've got to try and come from behind. How would that play on them, do you think, after having 3 matches the other way? 10 bucks. Peter?
Worked hard for that 10. And that is the lead, 10. Well, deficit for Peter.
Oh, big ball there, and the strike.
Just enough to trip the 6. Just enough momentum, hit it right on the red line, that piece of wood. Let's take a look. Right there.
7 marks for each team now, 5 spares and 2 strikes. Steve Vadney trying to answer. He'll shoot at the 3-6. Interesting, the team of Fuller and Vadney has made a change down in their order. Steve led off the second game, and he is leading off here again in the third. And it paid off, at least on that shot.
I'm sure most people at home realize that, you know, this last game, his one bowler bowls 6 frames, so that's the reason here. Hopefully try to get the guy that's going to be hot or has been hot.
That mark broke that 6-box drought for the team of Fuller and Vadney. The 7 fill and no spare. And the 10. So anything more than a 7 fill on this strike will cut into the lead. Chuck Godzyk will fill it.
Almost the double. Just the 4-pin.
That wood, I don't believe, is frozen.
No. Does give you a little bit of security, though. It looks like it's covering it.
Yes. Spare on strike.
Lead now just 7. Winner of this match takes on ho-hum Gary Carrington and Joe Ashline. So I'm sure that neither team is thinking of that right now, but whoever survives this one is certainly going to have their hands full next week.
It's 9. So a mark up there for Chuck Godzyk, but only the 5 fill. Brian Fuller with a big strike. When's kickoff, by the way?
You know, it's his rooter, so he can't be saying boo. I think it's boom. Missing the head pin that time to the left. 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, and that was strange. Thought actually had a shot at making the spare, but didn't make the spare, but only got out, punched out the 1 and 3.
8 bucks. We will pause right here. 8 is the number. 8 is the lead in the match right now for Brian Fuller and Steve Vadney. There it is. 8 pins the difference with 6 boxes to go. We'll be back in just a jiff. Peter Flynn. Half Worcester right.
The left, Pete, the left.
Ooh, now a lot of work to do. 2 balls thrown, 3 pins down.
Wow, head pin. That's all he took out that time.
Oh, very nice out. 9 bucks.
Those are the shots that you alluded to that last week. The shots that make Peter such a great bowler. I mean, he just finds a way to, instead of some normal person probably get a 5 or 6 box.
Oh.
Big strike. But Peter's able to work it out, in that case, for a 9 box, and then he just forgets about the bad break. Comes right back, and you see it, strike.
Steve Vadney.
Trying to protect 8-pin lead.
A little off target, but it's coming back. Leaves nothing but the head pin.
I always contend this is the hardest one to make. You know you got a super big break, and you don't want to miss this. Ooh. Ooh.
Wow. $10. And now the big 6th box opposite that strike.
It took a little sting out of it if he got that spare, but he didn't. Now he faces the strike. So to maintain the 9-pin lead, he's going to have to put up some kind of mark himself. Well, I almost think he's going to go after the 6. I don't know. You can go after the 6-pin or maybe shoot for the 7. And snap the wood. I would try the 6 because the wood be in front and in back.
Right. Well, went the other way. A reminder, our participating sponsors here on the Doubles Tournament of Champions. Somerville Lumber, where you can get it right the first time. Somerville Lumber. Our new sponsors, Mattress Cloud of Manchester, Salem, and Nashua, your discount bedding store, Mattress Cloud. And we'd like to welcome back to Candlepin Stars and Strikes the folks at Gagnon's Furniture in Hudson, New Hampshire, for all your furniture and flooring needs. Gagnon's Furniture.
A chance for Chuck to take the lead if he was to take these 3 pins out.
And there it is.
So 1-pin advantage now for Godzyk and Flynn with that spare on strike.
Spare in the 7th as we begin the final rotation. A right hit! Oh, my word! Oh, we'll have to get another look at that one. That was a very light hit, and it turned into a strike.
Oh.
Brian Fuller looking for a break.
He's going to have to match these marks, or they're going to find themselves double figures down. Oh, what a try. What a try by Brian.
And it's a 9. So all of a sudden, it is a 12-pin lead for Godzyk and Flynn, plus they have the strike up in the 8th. Brian is off target again to the right.
I'd say almost have to make this. Close. 2 of them, last 2, I thought had a chance at making both of them. However, he doesn't get either one. So it looks like it's going to be 12 or 13 pin advantage for Peter Flynn going the final 2, and he'll be working on a strike.
90 through 8 for Fuller and Vadney, so it is in fact a 13-pin lead plus 2 balls for Peter Flynn. Peter Flynn and Steve Vadney will roll the final 2 boxes of the match. And Peter drives right through the middle. This is an unusual lead. He's kind of got
to try to get the count because he's going to leave the door open for Steve to throw 2 marks. That's a 7 fill. If he does not mark in the 10th, Steve Vadney will still have room to throw up 2 marks.
Okay, 128 through 9. Peter Flynn from Bradford, Mass. Wife Debbie, sons Sean and Craig. Peter does a lot of his bowling at Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill, and right now he is down to the final box of this match.
This would be a huge mark.
And he's through the center again. Not a much better leave, a little different, but not much better.
No. He's got a choice here. Do you try the 2 with the wood? Or do you try to get the 9 or 10? He's got to gamble with the wood. Now these are all big. Steve Vadney will not need a double strike, but he'll need 2 big marks.
He just took a glance over to the scoreboard to see exactly what he'll need, and we will tell you that Steve Vadney needs 38 pins to win this match. So that is, as Dan said, 2 big marks. 38 pins is what Steve Vadney needs here in the final 2. That ball looks pretty good.
Oh, what a bad break. Its only hope now is the wood to come way out, and hopefully, no. Well, you got to play the inside of the wood, snap it off the 10-pin, and come across. But now he's going to try the 4-pin.
Well, now he will need a double strike in the 10th.
Safety right there. Ain't over, baby. It's all over.
Down to the final box. Let's see. Nope, that'll do it. Make it 4 in a row for Chuck Godzyk and Peter Flynn.
Just another walk in the park.
Wow.
Well, they show they can come from behind, too. They just kept plugging away and finally caught him, and big spare strike by Chuck Godzyk there towards the end.
109 for Fuller and Vadney, a 3-game total of 347. And you see the scores for Godzyk and Flynn. Would you believe it? Another 365. That's 3 in a row, and that's the score they had to qualify. There's something mystical going on here. 4 wins in a row for Godzyk and Flynn. We'll be back to talk to the bowlers, set you up for championship week in a minute. 4 wins in a row for Chuck Godzyk and Peter Flynn, and we got to find out about this 365 thing. I mean, days in the year, 3 matches in a row they've had this score. This was the score they qualified with.
Well, that's what I said. Everybody's going to go out and buy lottery tickets with 365. I said, if it hits tonight, everybody's going to have it. So you're going to get a $1.98 or something out of it.
Well, we talked about them having to come back, and they were able to do it. Boy, 2 huge marks in the 7th and 8th by Chuck Godzyk.
Well, true sign of some thoroughbreds. You know, they can grab the lead and hang on, and this time they came from behind down the stretch, and they just kept plugging away, and finally caught him. Great bowling.
All right, let's talk to all the bowlers. First of all, our runners-up. Let's bring up Steve Vadney and Brian Fuller. Come on in here, guys. We have 3rd-place checks for you, a total of $400 for you to split, and boy, that was a tough one. A lot of things to talk about, really, in this match. There were a lot of chances for both teams and a lot of interesting shots, a lot of great shots, really, but I guess from your point of view, not quite enough. Yeah. It was a terrific match, though. First time, really, that these guys have been behind in 4 weeks.
Yeah, well, you can't miss a single pin. They missed 2 critical singles, one in the 2nd string, I think in the 9th box, and then one, I missed a head pin, get a break, and leave that one, and, you know, we're talking, you know, in 20 country lead if I'd have got the 2 singles, so you can't miss them critical marks like we did. So
sometimes when a team is going well, things seem to happen, and Chuck got up there and threw the 2 big marks toward the end, and that really put them over the top. For you guys, congratulations, and we appreciate your being here, and we hope to see you again in the fall or sometime real soon. Thanks, guys. Brian Fuller and Steve Vadney, thanks very much. And now for a 4th time, let's call up Peter Flynn and Chuck Godzyk. Well, is this getting boring yet? Are you guys bored with all this at this point? a little different script that time, though.
We got rid of the front running stuff, didn't we?
a little comeback, and boy, 2 critical marks, Chuck, the 7th and 8th. And of course, you guys have been in this situation the last 3 weeks where you know you have to post a score. Now, when you're way ahead, that's not so critical. But in this situation, you really knew that you had to put something up there.
Yeah, it was different. I can't take too many more of those.
Well, the big, well, I got to have you talk about that strike, because now, did you have any idea that might be a strike? Because the hit was kind of light on the pocket.
I thought we were going to the quarter head. I really did.
Well, it was a terrific break for you, and you took advantage of it, got the win. That's 4 in a row. Now, of course, we've never had anybody win 5 in a row, particularly not in a Tournament of Champions, but we do have a couple of guys named Gary Carrington and Joe Ashline coming in next week. Perhaps you've heard of them.
Never heard of them. No idea what that is.
Well, we'll introduce you to them next week, all right? Congratulations, guys. Thanks very much. 4 in a row. This applause for you. And let's set it up now. Next Sunday, it all starts at 12 noon here on the Winds. It'll be the championship match for the singles Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions, and then at 1 o'clock, the doubles Tournament of Champions. The final match will be our number 5 seed.